So question number 21 tests our understanding, tests our ability to figure out the best summary of a paragraph. So it says one of the most robust psychological phenomena in behavioral economics is the endowment effect. A compelling version of this effect is, okay, so it talks about the endowment effect, gives us sort of an example. This effect is more pronounced in cultures that promote greater independence, self-construal. Okay, self-construal basically is how we define ourselves. Okay, so independent self-construal is where we define ourselves as an individual who is independent of others. And then you can of course also have interdependent self-construal. Now interdependent self-construal can be relational self-construal, where you define yourself on the basis of the close relationships that you have, or it can be a collective self-construal where you define yourself as a part of the group or groups that you belong to. Okay, so it says that this effect is more pronounced in cultures where you have independent self-construal as compared to those where you have interdependent notions of self-construal. So I think essentially the key idea is it talks about endowment effect, what it is, and how the intensity or amplitude of that effect can vary from one culture to another. So if I look at the options now, A says behavioral economics is based on the concept of the endowment effect. Not at all. Look at the paragraph. It says one of the most robust psychological phenomena in behavioral economics is this. So it is a phenomena, one of the phenomena of behavioral economics. It is not something that acts as the basis for behavioral economics. So A is so distorted that we can rule it out here itself. Okay, B. The endowment effect demonstrates the inordinate value we assign to identical goods, especially after one becomes owned. Okay, by and large right, but problem number one is inordinate value. So this changes the tone of the paragraph. So I'd say when we use inordinate, there is a slight distortion or disagreement of tone. Apart from that, this option is incomplete because it misses out on the key idea presented by the last sentence, cultural effect. But let's see, let's keep it in running. Who knows, this can turn out to be the best answer choice. C, the endowment effect is found predominantly in cultures that encourage individuals to define themselves. Self-construal is how you define yourself. So whether there is an independence of self-construal in self-construal or interdependence, in either case, in all of those cultures, you are defining yourself. It is just that the definition happens to be in different terms. So independent self-construal, you are defining yourself as an individual separate from the rest. Interdependent, you are defining yourself in terms of the relations or the collective. Right. So the cultures were not different on the basis of whether individuals define themselves or not. They were different on the basis of how and what you use to define yourself. So this is a distortion. And then when you say the endowment effect is found predominantly in cultures, is this part correct? More pronounced, okay, more pronounced can perhaps still be termed as predominant, but this second half is something that we don't agree with. That is a distortion of what the paragraph states. So C has that issue, plus C misses out on the first part, okay, assigning value to a product. So B and C both have more or less similar issues. The issue in B happens to be a little smaller than C, so we can rule out C. Let's look at D. According to endowment effect, the values assigned to identical goods vary with conditions and cultures. This is even better. Now you may look at it and say, hey, we are not talking about two identical goods where ownership is introduced. But then let me take you back to the paragraph carefully. It says a compelling version of this effect. So this difference of ownership is just one version. There can be other versions that may involve different conditions, and it also mentions cultures. So D essentially accommodates everything very nicely, very concisely, and therefore for question number 21, let's go ahead and choose D as our answer.